Most people choose a career exactly backwards by picking a major first and way too early. As a veteran college professor, I'm here to tell you that is a trap that leads to regret and burnout. But in today's video, I'm going to show you how to choose a career that you will really love. Hey, I'm Jason Ward, entrepreneur and author of the book Find Your Gold Thread, and I'm on a mission to help 1 million people find their true calling, and I hope you're one of them. Let's get to the root cause and the danger of locking in on the wrong career path. Now, if you're a little older and you feel like you're locked in on the wrong career path, this could be a test just to see where maybe things have gone wrong and how you can change course. If you're younger and you're just looking into your career, this could be some really helpful advice to keep you from choosing the wrong career path and making some seriously bad financial mistakes. Regardless of where you are in your career, you know the dilemma of being young and having to lock in and decide what you're going to do for the rest of your life. If you go to a university, the first thing they're going to do is make you declare a major. They're going to pressure you to lock in and make a career choice pretty dang early. Now, I have been a college professor. I taught from 2003 through 2015 at 3 different institutions. And I had a ton of kids coming through my classes. I taught art appreciation, photography, video production, advertising, and I saw a lot of kids coming through, and some of them had no idea really what they wanted to do with their lives. They had a hard enough time even deciding how they're going to dress themselves in the morning. And here we are as admins, we're trying to help these kids make a lifelong career decision. That's way early. But let's look at why do universities do this in the first place. As soon as you get there, they want to pressure you into locking in on a major. Now, there are some good reasons for that, especially for the universities, because believe it or not, they're not out for your best interest, but really they're only out for their bottom line. They have a huge financial responsibility. They have a lot of moving parts at these universities, and they want to allocate resources by putting people into certain courses of study to make sure that those ones aren't overloaded, or they need to know how many people they're going to try to push through there and get them graduated into that program. So they have to know how many classes they can offer and how many more professors they may need to hire in a specific area of study. But the other thing too is they might actually force people or put pressure undecided students into these lesser popular areas of study because they've got these resources and they need to allocate people into those. So they might just sort of, hey, have you thought about X, Y, and Z? It's probably not what these students are inclined to do or what they're really called to do, but because they need people to go in those areas, they sort of pressure them and encourage them to go and major in this, major in that. At the end of the day, a university is out for one thing. They want your warm body to occupy a chair and to pay them their tuition and fees. And believe me, you walk into that admin office and they will find a spot for you, ready or not. And they'll try to lock you in on a major and get you to sign on your dotted line and take out student loans and housing loans and cost of living loans and everything to make sure that you have an amazing 4 years at this university. And once you declare that major, it's really easy just to sort of get lost in it and sort of just expect life's just going to work when you finish. But nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, only 27% of people actually end up doing a job that's even related to the major of their course of study. And up to 80% of people change their majors anyway. And there's some serious dangers of changing your major. Like if you lock in too early on a major and you go down that path and then decide, oh, switch gears, put on the brakes, we're going to do something else. There's some serious financial repercussions from changing your major because you're going to have to take more classes. You're going to have to extend your time. You're going to graduate a little later. And studies show that up to 70% more could be added on to your total cost of an education. And it is astronomical. Just for kicks, I looked at what my college scholarship was worth dating back to circa 1996. At that time, a 4-year degree at the University of Louisville for in-state tuition, including on-campus housing and meals and books and some fees like parking, would cost around $30,000. I looked up on Grok yesterday, just messing around, how much would it cost me if I was in the state of Kentucky, to go to the University of Louisville for 4 years, live on campus and do the whole thing, the whole University of Louisville experience, go Cards. That education now would be worth $144,000 and some change. If you're out of state, that education would cost $208,000, and that's without changing your major and incurring additional costs. So this is something you kind of need to get right if you're out there trying to declare a major. This is not something you want to do willy-nilly. There could be serious regrets for choosing the wrong major. The worst thing that can happen is that you lock in on the wrong career, you take out student loans, you finally finish your degree, you get out and you take a job and you end up hating it. And now you're filled with all of this regret and financial burden because you made some wrong decisions too early on. And now we're going to talk about some ways to ensure that you're going to find a career path and a job that you're absolutely going to love. Number one is to find out what you're good at. You know, some of these aptitude tests and things that you can take, the old one, like the Myers-Briggs test from way back. There's some new ones like the 16 personalities. There's the Clifton strengths, Holland code, the big 5 personality assessments. I did the 16 personalities thing just for fun, just to go through it. And a lot of these tests will ask you questions, and based on your response, they'll put you into buckets on whether you're good socially, creatively, you work better by yourself, you work better with groups, and all these sorts of things are helpful in kind of giving you some parameters to look into careers that really suit you. But one thing I fault them all on, or many of them, is that they leave out one significant thing, and that is God out of the equation. Why not consult the supreme guidance counselor himself to find out what is your true calling? And there's clues that he has left all along your life path if you just want to look back at those. And that's exactly what I talk about in my book, Find Your Gold Thread. And if you want to read that book, that would be a really great first step in finding your perfect career path, is read Find Your Gold Thread, and you can get it at jasondward.com. And in there, I talk about finding your gold thread, which is your true calling, and that is prescribed by God, known before the foundation of the world. And he has left little clues all back since your childhood on what it is that you alone are designed and made to do. And that's exactly what we want to find out. Number 2 is to use that gold thread to finally get some experience in what really makes you tick. So that could be an internship, that could be shadowing someone in a career path that you find interesting just to see what it's all about. You might even take a job in one of these certain career paths and volunteer or go in and you know, sort of just say, I just want to see what this is all about. I just really want to test the waters and just see if this is something I could be good at. Maybe it's welding. Maybe you want to go try your hand at something like that before you enroll in a trade school, just to see if it's something that you really like. And I applaud that. I did an internship. I shadowed an art director at an agency and thought his job was really cool. And so I ended up interning there, ended up deciding to go to grad school from that program, and ended up going to grad school in advertising and ended up being an art director myself. And so just being exposed to different career paths and seeing what it's like in the day in the life is huge. Speaking of the day in the life thing, too many people hinge their career decisions on a title or the way something sounds. Like it might sound awesome to be a lawyer or a doctor, you know, neurologist or even neurosurgeon. Some of these things, they carry a lot of allure to them. But if you were to actually call one of these guys and ask, hey, tell me what you do in an average day as a dermatologist, you know, tell me, what do you do? You might be surprised that the hours and the commitment and some of the things that maybe aren't so awesome sounding for you, or maybe it is exactly what you want to do. But I would say get on the phone. call some of these people, go interview for some of these jobs and find out, hey, what it is, what's the day in the life? What am I going to be doing day in and day out? What Monday through Friday? What's my role? What are the hours? What's the stress level? What's my commitment? Find that stuff out. Do the research. Make a lot of phone calls. And don't underestimate, too, what AI can do in helping you find unbelievable insights into what you can do for a career. Just for kicks, I went on to Grok, that's my favorite AI platform, and I just plugged in a query, and it said, I'm good at building things, designing, working with my hands, and aesthetics. What is a good career path for me? And within a few seconds, Grok spit out industrial designer and product design, and it actually gave like a salary range for each one of these. Architect, it was like 90 to 140K for being an architect. Furniture design or custom woodworking, 50 to 100,000 you can make on a yearly salary. Interior design, 70 to 90K. But all of these, industrial designer, architect, furniture design, interior design. Do you know I've done all those? Now, I haven't taken a job at an architecture firm. I'm not a licensed architect, but I have designed and built several luxury short-term rental properties, and I've done the work designing them on paper from scratch. And I even built the furniture for one of those. Actually, a couple of them. I built furniture for those. I did a lot of the interior design. I've done product design myself, including the lights that are over my head right now. I tried to start a business back in 2013 called Ward Bright, and I designed these LED lights that are over my head right now. And so that was incredible to see, like, here's what I'm good at. What do you think I should do? And it tells me what I've already done. That's incredible. Now, granted, I'm sort of in the middle of the spectrum. I'm not at the beginning of the spectrum. I'm hopefully not at the end, but I'm definitely not at the beginning. So it's cool to see that it prescribed things for me that I have not only had an interest in, but I have actually done those things, and it was spot on. It was unbelievable how spot on this thing was. So going back to that supreme guidance counselor thing for a minute, I've got a Bible verse I want to share with you, and that's Colossians 3:23. Whatever you do, work at it with all of your heart as working for the Lord and not just for human masters. And there's something really profound in just giving it to God and letting Him take the reins, because it's easy to get caught up in, oh, well, what's my salary going to be? Am I going to be able to have the car that I want and take the vacations and have the second home and all the stuff and have the Mercedes out in the driveway? It's like, don't underestimate that God can create a salary from anything, whether it's textbook or not. Believe me, I've made large sums of money from passion projects that I actually never even thought I would get a return on. I just did it because I felt compelled to do it. I felt like God was telling me to do it, and He made the means to the end. He actually created the income from it out of what I would say is thin air, but that's just the way God works. So when you put God's plan for your life first, don't underestimate His ability to reward you, and handsomely, by that obedience, because He can and He will. So I got a question I would like for you to leave in the comments. Now, I'm going to divide this into two. If you're older, answer this question. What career did you choose, and how do you know if it was right or wrong for you? Kind of taking the pulse on where you are right now. Did you do the right thing? Was it all that and then some? Or do you wish you'd done something else? Now, if you're younger, answer this question. What career path are you currently considering or choosing, or putting your stake in the ground like, I'm going to do this? What career path are you choosing, and how are you sure that that's the right one for you? I'd be interested to see what you would say in the comments. And I want to leave you with a cool story from one of my photography classes. I love teaching Photo 1. That was like where all of the concepts and everything sort of came to life. And the way I had the class structured, it only met once a week. But the kids, I would give them an assignment, and then they would have a whole week to complete it. And then they would come back into the classroom, and I would have them put all their photography up on the wall around the room. And then we would get our coffee and our snacks and everything. We'd kind of sit back and we would critique these. And it was amazing what came out of that. And oftentimes we would see a batch of work and we wouldn't even know the photographer who did that until we got finished with the critique. So it was like a mystery who shot these. So on the very first critique of one semester, all this work went up on the wall. And there was this one batch of work that just stood out among all the others. It just leapt off the wall. It was incredible. The compositions were next level and the exposures were spot on. The posing and everything that this student had done was just amazing. And I asked, who did this? Who did this batch of work? And a hand shot up. This girl, she said her name was Jennifer. And I said, hey, Jennifer, see me after class. And she looked at me like kind of scared. She thought she was in trouble. And after class, I let the whole rest of the group go and I held her back and I let it just kind of get a little bit awkward. She thought she was in trouble. And she came up to me, she's like, you wanted to see me after class? And I said, yeah, Jennifer, what is your major? What's your course of study? And she said that she was majoring in music business. And I said, is that something that you chose or is that something that your family kind of pushed you towards? And she said, it's a little bit of both. She had musicians in her family in that business, and so they were kind of pushing her in that direction, and she definitely could have done that. So I looked at her and I said, Jennifer, I just want you to know, if you wanted to, you could be a professional photographer. And her eyes got big and she was like, really? And the greatest thing ever happened. She actually did become a professional photographer. And I had the privilege of knowing this just because of Facebook. I kind of kept in touch with my students and saw what they did throughout their lives after graduation. And she not only became a professional photographer, but she became one of the most world-renowned wedding photographers out there in the market. She was shooting high-dollar destination weddings and getting published in all sorts of bridal magazines and everything. And it was so cool to see that side of someone declaring the wrong major, you know, like somebody that was on a career path, and I was able to just like put on the brakes and get to him and just sort of influence him a little bit and say, hey, you could do this. Not only me, but another professor actually encouraged her too at the university, at Dallas Baptist University, and he spoke to her too, and between the two of us, we influenced her to really explore her art, and we're so glad that she did that. And I'm just wondering, if you're out there, you're stuck in a career that maybe you feel like you're not really equally yoked with it, it's just not really for you, maybe you can do the job, but you're just not feeling fulfillment from that, I want to encourage you to, it's never too late to explore another avenue. If you've declared a major, you're almost ready to graduate, but you're just not sure, take a beat, take a minute. It's better to disrupt what you're doing now than to wait until you're 20 years into a career that you hate and then have to disrupt everything with family and all the things that you're going to have going on, children and everything in the future. So I just want to encourage you to take a minute to really reflect on what you're doing and if that's really what God intended for you to do. Because even me, I want to follow my true calling. And calling has seasons too. You could be in one avenue and that could go for a season, and then you could change and do something else, and then the thing that you did first can come back and resurface later, and God's got really interesting ways of working all that out. So wherever you are on your career path, I encourage you to take a beat and look into what is your gold thread. What is it that God intended for you to do, and do that. So what are you doing with your life? I hope that by watching this video, you are one step closer to knowing what you should truly do with your life, and at least giving you some food for thought in how to find your gold thread. Thank you for watching. I hope you've got some value out of this video. If you have, please share it with your friends or someone that you know who might also benefit from this message. And if you want to read my book, Find Your Gold Thread, which could help you even more, you can pick that up at jasondward.com. And I'll see you again on the next episode.